Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the Gnarly Gnome. This is the Weekly Pint. This is the show where we hang out, we have a drink together, and I need to hang out and have a drink with people because I've been locked inside the house for the last week. Week plus. COVID again, which is almost getting comical at this point, how many times I've gotten COVID over the last few years. You think that it's kind of over with, or that you don't have to even think about it anymore, and then it reminds you that, hey, it's still out there. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun week. Luckily, it was just me that got it. Managed to not infect my entire family, which also just doesn't make any sense. I don't know how that's possible. I did not quarantine from them. We just kind of assumed if they're going to get it, they're going to get it, and they didn't. So, yeah, it's been fun. Well, let's go ahead and crack open a beer before we dive too much into my COVID tales. This is a happy hour. It's a show where we hang out, and we drink together. So if you're new to this thing, if you're jumping on the live stream, tell us what you're drinking, because that makes us feel like we're all together. Marco is having a psychopathy. Julia says she has cracked open a pickle from Urban Artifact. That's, in my opinion, an appropriate Christmas beer. Josh is having Alexandria's Till the Battle is Won Midwest IPA. And I am going to crack open today's Advent beer, Beervent beer, because one of the downsides of getting COVID was that I didn't drink all week. So every day I'm pulling these Beervent beers and then stash them in the fridge. So I tried to make up as best I could this weekend when I started drinking again. And I'm almost caught up, but I figured today's was too fun not to drink on the show. This is Figgy Pudding from Urban Artifact. This is a return. They brewed this back in I don't know, 2019, 2020, something like that. I don't know if the recipe is identical, but it is brewed with fig, orange, cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla. Untapped says tart ale brewed with mission figs and a blend of warm spices and vanilla. So it might be the same, and it might be completely different. Don't know. Julia says she had that with dinner. Very good. I'm excited to try it. Let's crack this thing open. Oh, it's nitro. I forgot. Nitro beer, if you didn't know, pour hard. It's a weird experience to pour nitro beer and to get used to just dumping beer with all of that gusto. Nitro charged figgy pudding, American fruit tart. I don't know what figgy pudding is. I don't think anybody really knows what figgy pudding is. I assume it's some kind of pudding made with figs, but that's all I know. Marco says, what was for dinner? Julia says, roosters. I had pork chops, if you were asking me. I had some leftover pork chops from the other night. When I started being able to taste again, I told my wife I needed some seared meat. And so she ran to the store and got me some pork. And I seared some meat and have leftovers. I'll have leftovers for days because she bought way too much. Rough life. All right, let me dig into this figgy pudding. It is kind of there's a little bit of a red kind of plum color going on. You can see that pretty well in the video, but it's murky and strange colored, as a lot of their beers are. All right, and I don't know if my sense of smell is back up to 100% yet, but I'm definitely getting that kind of dark fig, floral, fruity kind of thing. Man, I don't even know if I've had an actual fig. I know fig aromas and tastes based off of beers, a lot of beers that people say, oh, this is fig that you're tasting. Okay, I know that. I've had fig Newtons. I assume that is a fig type flavor, but I've never actually had a fig. Maybe I need to run to Jungle Gyms and remedy that sometime. That's a really crazy kind of um, aroma. It almost smells like there's like a Welch's grapey kind of thing going on. Yeah, like some kind of fantastic Kool-Aid is what that smells like to me. That's crazy. All right. Uh, Prost everybody to figgy pudding. That is so good. It does. It feels very much, um, yeah. It feels very much like some kind of um, crazy Kool Aid, some kind of wild Kool Aid flavor that um, maybe like a mix of Kool Aids. That's what it tastes like. It's a mix of Kool Aids. Michael says that many members of the fruit family are only familiar to me via beer tasting notes. I agree with that 100%. I did go through like an exercise. It's been a few years. I had a buddy that we would get together once a month or so and taste beer. And one of the things that we would do was either beforehand or make some notes for the previous or the following week to go to Jungle Gyms and just pick up random things, random fruits and vegetables and things like that had kind of different, strange, sometimes bold aromas that we could then kind of line up on the bar while we were tasting beers and see what kind of stuff that they made us kind of made us pull from the beer. Which was really, really kind of an interesting experiment because it does makes you smell things that you might not smell otherwise. It's fun. Let's see. Chris says that the Astrolabe by Urban was super delish. Oh man, I haven't had that one for a while. Astrolabe was was that the Concord grape one? Concord grapes are not usually my favorite flavor, and this is not like straight up like Concord grape kind of flavor. It's figgy pudding. It doesn't taste like pudding at all. I guess the nitro kind of gives it a pudding kind of character. No, it's the orange. I think I'm getting some of that orange. 100%, that's what it is. It's the fig with the orange that's giving me that kind of Kool-Aid type of vibe. I really like that. That's fun. Yeah, that's good. So, I got sick. I don't really know where I got it from. I have my guesses, but I last weekend. Well, yeah, last weekend. Last Saturday was Dark Charge, and uh, the night before I went out for the stave dinner at Braxton, and I drank a decent amount at the stave dinner, but didn't think that I drank so much that I would be in rough shape the next day for Dark Charge Day. But I woke up on Dark Charge Day and just didn't feel great. And so I assumed that I was a little bit hungover. Kind of waited a little bit, hung out around the house, and went down to Dark Charge in the afternoon, and just wasn't feeling on my game, and again just chalked it up to hangover. Drank a couple beers, and hung out for a very long time with just a couple beers. Came home, got home, and told my wife I was just going to go ahead and go to bed. So I did, and then the next day, Sunday, we were going to Kings Island that evening. So we hung out around the house, got some Christmas decorating and stuff done, and then in the evening went to Kings Island with the family, and I was fine at Kings Island. I had a little bit of a headache, but that's pretty normal in my house with my kids to always have a headache. So again, didn't think too much of it. But then as soon as we got in the car after Kings Island, it hit me. Fever, headache, all the whole 9 yards. Just 100% knew I was sick. Still did not think COVID. COVID did not even cross my mind. Because my kids have been sick like all winter. They're kids. They're germy. They're snotty, and just assumed that it was whatever they had, and came home, went to bed. Next day, that Monday, was working here from home, getting some computer stuff done, and about halfway through the day, I don't remember what it was that I picked up. I picked up something to eat it, and took a big smell of it, and just didn't get anything. And I'm like, oh no, if I can't smell it, not like my nose was stuffed up, I just completely had no sense of smell. I could still taste though, which was strange. Like I could get sweet and salty and bitter and even spicy, thing like I could taste fine. I just couldn't smell. So like all of the other flavors that you would normally get, they weren't there at all. So I took the COVID test, and right away it came out positive. So that was it. So if I hung out with you at Dark Charge, hopefully I didn't give you COVID, because I'm pretty sure that I was sick at Dark Charge Day, and that sucks. But I was definitely pretty sick for a few days. It was not the worst that I've ever had COVID. But it was definitely kind of like right in that middle ground where I was pretty freaking miserable. And part of the thing that makes it so bad too is that because of kind of the way my work life works, I stay home a couple days a week and hang out and take care of the kids. And so those days where I'm home with the kids, I was still home with the kids. It doesn't matter that you're running a fever or that your body is achy and you just want to lay down and you're tired, and it doesn't matter. The kids don't care. So being sick and trying to take care of kids was what made it probably as bad as it was. But the idea of not being able to really taste things freaked me out. I had one of the other times I had COVID. I don't remember which one. Had to be, I think it was the second time I got COVID. This was probably in 2020. I definitely had kind of muted senses. Like they were definitely not, they weren't right, but I never completely lost my sense of smell or taste. This was the first time that one of them went completely. And I did this really crazy kind of nerdy thing, and probably crazy thing, where as soon as I realized that I couldn't taste anything, I freaked out, and I got online and I started reading every study that I could find about people who have lost their sense of smell and taste, and ways to hopefully get it back faster. And I'm not claiming that any of it worked, but it did come back within like 3 days. I think I wasn't able to taste for 3 days, and I can taste stuff now. Again, I don't know if it's back 100% to where it was, but it's good enough that I can definitely taste things. So, maybe it worked. Yeah. Julia says, "Glad I'm feeling better." Thank you. Me too. It was not fun. Justin says, "You got it from Dark Charge." I did not get it from Dark Charge. I was definitely not feeling great already at Dark Charge, so it didn't happen there. Vernon says, if you go to Jungle Gyms, grab some of the discounted Hacker Shore and Paulaner Oktoberfest, $3.99 for a six-pack, and still tasting good. I have too much Oktoberfest in my house still, and this is another problem from this year. I was going to have people over to help me drink Oktoberfest. We were going to do this big cuvee of every Oktoberfest beer, and I don't think it's going to happen now because between losing an entire week to COVID, between stuff going on and events and parties and all that stuff, I don't think there's a day to do it this year. Literally this year, I don't think there's a day. So I just have a ton of Oktoberfest beer. I am going to make a video at some point doing the Super Oktoberfest cuvee. Yeah. But we'll see how it turns out. We'll see what I do with the video. Justin says, I've never had COVID, knock on wood. Somebody told me once that anybody that thinks they haven't had COVID probably had it and just didn't know because it was so widespread in this country. Justin says, I'll drink it. Well, no, I'm going to drink it. That's the whole point. I want to drink it. All the cool kids are doing it. So, I got really far behind on all of the beer event beers because I couldn't taste anything, so I wasn't going to waste them. Justin says I'm just drunk all the time. Yeah, it's fine. A lot of us are. It's kind of our thing on this show. Let's go ahead and jump into this week's stories, however you want to put it. Or do you want to do the best things that I've drank this week? Let's start there because I really have not drank that much, so it should be a short little segment. We'll start with Braxton. I'm gonna make a little theme music for the best things I've drank this week. But Dark Charge Day was awesome. I did a huge write-up kind of about my thoughts and opinions about Dark Charge Day and about Dark Charge and beer releases in general. I didn't go into depth in there about the beers this year, the specific beers. And one of them definitely jumped out to me. It was something very different for Dark Charge and for Braxton and for what a lot of people are doing, and that was the Vino variant. It's a beer wine, not really a hybrid. It's a mix. It is, you take wine and you mix it with beer. It's 49% wine, 51% beer, and I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely unique and special, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know that I can justify dropping, I think it was $40 a bottle for it. I have a hard time spending that kind of money on anything anymore, but it was really good. Justin says, I'm curious to know who is barrel aging the beer these days. Are you talking about Dark Charge? As far as I know, it's still being barrel aged over in the barrel house there. As far as I know, in New Riff barrels. Let's see. So that was a definite standout for me. That does kind of make me think about something else though too that we should talk about before we jump into this week's topic. Second one, the next two are both beer event beers because that's pretty much all I drank all weekend was beer event beers. The Wandering Monsters WeldWorks collab. Not that I doubt either one of those breweries, but New England IPAs are not my thing at all. And every time I say that about a beer or a style or something, I'm proven wrong more times than I care to count. And this is a great example of it. Maybe I enjoyed it so much because I was coming off of a week without having a beer. So it was one of the first beers that I did crack into. It was fantastic. It was like this really great kind of peach and grapefruit, just like this beautiful soft kind of fruit, and backed up with a nice not high ABV but high enough to kind of balance it out. It was good. It was a really good beer. I enjoyed it a lot. It went really fast, and I loved it. So I had to mention that one because it's always funny to me when I open something like that I drink and I'm like, this is not. I get the beer and I look at it, I'm like, oh man, I get it, but it's not really what I want to be drinking today. And I go ahead and open it and pour it, and it blows me away, and that's fun. I enjoy that. I enjoy anything that's. If we can go down a little rabbit hole here, that's part of why I love Beer Vent so much, is that there's a lot of these beers or beer styles or breweries that I wouldn't typically buy. A lot of them, the majority of the beers in the calendar, I wouldn't pick up off of a shelf. But if you put it in my hand, or in this case, put it in my fridge, and make it a celebration, I'm going to drink it. And usually it kind of catches me off guard and reminds me that it's not always, how can I word this? Just because something is in your head doesn't mean that it's always right. Sometimes you have to kind of let yourself be guided towards something that's out of kind of, not necessarily out of your comfort zone, but just out of your normal kind of wheelhouse. If any of that makes sense. My brain might still not be working properly after COVID. Who knows? And then the third one this week was should be obvious to everybody that has the calendar, that Equilibrium Pilsner at Henry Street. I really, really enjoyed that one. I drank it yesterday during the game, and really enjoyed it. I love a good lager. This was definitely kind of like it was a grassy kind of earthy take on a Pilsner, which is fun. Not necessarily the type of Pilsner that I usually crave. I want something kind of a little more zippy. That's what I usually call it. A little more of a hop snap, a little more something. But I loved it. It was good. It was again earthy, grassy, kind of that noble hop thing that maybe even a lot of Pilsners are lacking these days. A lot of lagers are lacking these days. People kind of shy away from it and lean into the stuff that I do kind of prefer. But it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. Before we dive into this week's topic, I did not put a graphic up for this because I didn't even think to do it. And I have not finished listening to this week's episode of Truth Beer Consequences, so I don't know if I assume they touched on the podcast episode, but I don't know what they said about it. Garage Beer, the new owner of Garage Beer, and the marketing director of Garage Beer were on Brewbound this week on the Brewbound podcast. And this marketing director is a guy that I have not talked to. I did not know he was on board as part of Garage Beer, the new company. And as soon as I saw that he was on there, I was trying to connect the dots and trying to figure out how I knew this guy. And he is the PBR guy, like the guy that made the tweet back in, early 2022. You guys know the one. If you don't, do a little Googling about PBR's Twitter escapades in early I think it was 2022. It might have been 2021. I don't know, but the guy, and I have nothing against the guy, and I know exactly kind of how this stuff happens, but he got fired from Pabst because of a tweet that he made that Pabst then said was posted by a rogue employee, something like that, which wasn't. He was the marketing guy. He ran the Twitter, and oh, yeah. So that's him. That's the guy. He is now in charge of Garage Beer, which I think is fantastic. I think that this guy is a beer social media celebrity, in my opinion. So I just thought that was interesting. It's not really anything newsworthy other than if you guys have not heard that story about PBR and about that kind of meltdown that they had on social, man, it was we had to have talked about it on this show. We had to have. Yeah, I should probably go back and see if I can find that episode now. I don't know. I think it's funny that he is now at the helm of Garage Beer. I don't have anything against Garage Beer. I don't have anything against Pabst. I don't have anything against this guy, but it's fun. So just something to keep in mind. And if you have not listened to that episode of Brewbound, go listen to that podcast. It's not very long, and they kind of give you a little peek at Garage Beer. They didn't go too deep or anything. Makes me think that I should probably get them on my show sometime when I record an actual episode. One thing that I do want to talk about this week started. I didn't pull the chat up for you guys this whole time. I'm sorry, guys. Tweet was posted January 3rd, 2022. For anybody interested, says Julia. Thank you. So I assume whatever the following Monday after that is, we had to have talked about it on this show. Madtree made big news this week when they I guess they announced, or I guess they probably didn't even announce. I think it was probably kind of just leaked out there via the business courier. But they are parting ways with Catch a Fire Pizza, which is interesting. Not because Catch a Fire is lighting the world on fire. The pizza's fine, but they've been partnered since almost day one of Madtree. It was pretty quick after Madtree opened that they got Catch a Fire into the tap room via an on-site kitchen, which nobody else had really done in that way. Well, it's not entirely true. Rivertown did kind of do it with a barbecue partner, but it was not a normal thing to do it that way, to bring in a food partner like that. And they've been together ever since. And obviously when they jumped over to 2.0, there was a lot of discussion of if Catch a Fire was going to be a part of that via the beer world. And they were, and they are. And it's been, from everything that I can tell, a great partnership. That is now going away, and Madtree, when they opened the alcove down in OTR, they decided that they were running that food program in-house. And I don't know kind of the ins and outs of how that has all gone for them, but clearly it made enough sense that as they keep growing and as they are kind of looking at these future plans in Blue Ash and maybe beyond, it made sense to start bringing all the food in-house. And I think that that's a really, really kind of interesting change within Cincinnati beer. I talked about it a little bit when Listerman made their announcement that they were going to take over their kitchen, kind of how different that idea is from what it used to be. To give you kind of a little bit kind of bird's eye perspective on things, and this is very rough math, so I'm not going to give specific numbers, but I'll give kind of percentages. I'm going to say around 74% of the breweries in the city that have food available all the time, that have a permanent food option, so not rotating food trucks, 74% of them own their own food program. So that's not the places that partner up with somebody who runs a kitchen in their tap room. That is them owning their food program. So only 26% now actually have food partners. Those numbers are pretty well flip-flopped from where they were even 5 years ago. The amount of people that were running their own food programs or had a partner. Probably almost exactly flipped. And I anticipate that number will keep kind of growing 74% will be low in the next couple years, in my guess. Within that, within that 74% of people that have their own food program, I would say 30. I think I would say so. My math again puts it at around 36% of those being actual like brew pub models. So your Nine Giants and your High Grains and places like that, where the food is as big of a part of the business as the beer is, or gives the impression of being as big of a part of the business as the beer is. Obviously, I don't know people's numbers of how much they're doing sales-wise on beer versus food, which I think is technically how you're supposed to classify brew pubs. But there is definitely a feeling or an impression that I get from some places that I would say, oh, yeah, this is a brew pub versus the place that just has food. And again, that number is way higher than if you had asked me 5 years ago where it was going, where I would have anticipated that it was going. This shift back into food and beer together is definitely a new trend and something that I find very interesting because of the way the taproom laws are set up in Ohio. I can't imagine that bars and restaurants love the idea of breweries being able to operate the businesses that they are and how they are. And I think even if we don't necessarily see it for a while in Ohio, it's definitely becoming a big issue in a lot of other states, especially other states where some of the liquor laws are a little crazier than what they are here. Excuse me. So it's something to watch as breweries keep evolving and the food programs keep evolving. Like I mentioned before, Listerman is bringing their food into their control, I guess, taking over the kitchen. They did post last week that this week they would be doing kind of sneak peeks of some of the menu items, and that very soon we would hear some details about a grand opening of the new kitchen. But they were still kind of finalizing some of the details, but I anticipate we'll hear that pretty soon about Listerman's food program. Madtree, obviously, after the first of the year, they start kind of switching things over, and they'll have their own program there. They haven't really told us a lot about what they're going to do there, except that pizza will still be a part of it, but expanded kids menu and things like that, which is duh with Madtree. You walk in there, and that's clearly a needed thing. Sonder is an interesting one. They just opened their second tap room, if you guys missed out on that, in Westchester. And that food program is their food program. As they kind of play around with that and figure that out, it'll be interesting how that influences what's happening over in Mason. We'll just leave it at that. But so far, all of the food that I've had there has been great. It's definitely a very different type of business to run than just a brewery. But you get the right people around you, and it shouldn't make that much of a difference. Julia says, look forward to the pizza, pack and play meal deal. Yes. There's some places around town, too, that are definitely worth mentioning, like Sam Adams, the tap room down in OTR. When they opened that tap room, they were very, very clear that they didn't want to have food, that, they wanted people to go other places to have food, and they go to Sam Adams to grab a beer. That's changed. You go in there now and you can get wings and you can get pizza and you can get all kinds of stuff out of there. It's not like it's definitely not a brew pub, but there's food if you want to sit there and hang out there and eat there. Like, there is that option now, which is in my opinion good. Other places. Dogberry was finally able to figure out a way to add food into their tap room when they opened I call it their new tap room. It's not really new anymore. They opened their second tap room. There was still no desire to add food at all. It was not even close to being part of the plan. It was still just beer. It was just you can DoorDash if you want to, over time that just becomes unreliable and just isn't what people want. And so being able to bring in food partners has definitely helped out places like that. If you haven't been to Dogberry, their food partner is amazing. The sliders are awesome, and you should definitely go there. Full disclosure, I do work with Dogberry. They're a client of mine. I think I probably have to say that, but yeah, it's a change from what everybody kind of expected it to look like. So I think that is kind of the biggest shift that we're seeing locally is just how people bring that stuff into the tap room, why they bring it into the tap room, and what it looks like and what it feels like from the consumer's perspective. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of where it goes. That's what I have to say about that. I'll have some more stuff kind of about Madry and about food and why I think they're doing it and why I think it makes sense. At some point, I'll write a blog post about it, but I want it to be a good kind of hearty blog post, and it takes a little bit of time to do. And I do want to wrap in some of the other stories that are around about food and kind of put them all together and kind of give you a better picture of it. So stay tuned for that at some point. You know how that goes. There's a lot of things that are like that I'm working on. just take time to get done. So we will see. That's all I got for you guys tonight. If you didn't get your beer event calendar this year, don't make the same mistake next year. I am working on a YouTube video this year about beer event, but it's going to look a little different than I thought it was going to look like. For lots of reasons, but stay tuned for that. Probably after the first of the year, I'll have something kind of in a week or so after that to kind of recap beer event and give you my thoughts and opinions on it. So stay tuned. New podcasts are coming, I promise. Couple that I'm working on getting scheduled as far as brewcasts. There's definitely a couple that I'm working on that are recorded that I just need to get done for Drinking with a Gnome, and the audio podcast of this show, I'm gonna get it back up. I have 6 episodes that are just sitting on the desktop of my computer waiting to be uploaded and get show notes put in so that they can be published. We'll do it. It's coming. I promise. At some point. Just trying to make sure that things are done properly and not. I don't want to half-ass anything, and I definitely want to make sure that the priorities are sitting in the right order for certain things. I've got some really big kind of plans for what's happening in 2024 that is very time consuming, but we'll get it. Elijah says, wait, show notes? Yeah, show notes. Accurate or not, they're still there. I still have to write them. So you have to write something. Julia says, tell me what the episodes are about and I'll write the show notes for you. They're all pretty much written. I mean, I have show notes that always exist on the screen in front of me, so like they're there. They just need kind of edited and transferred over to the proper kind of format and everything. I'll get it done. I do have something that I want to talk to Julia and Marco about that is an idea that I've been kind of rolling around in my head over the last couple months. So we need to get together and do that sometime. Anyways, we will we will be back next week. Probably also drinking beer event beers. So let that be a note also that if you have a beer event calendar on Mondays, if you hang on to your beer event beer, you can probably drink it during the show and know that we're probably going to be drinking the same thing. So notate that in your head. Robert says, hello from the 1860 Tap Room. Thank you for the great local brewery info. Thank you for the great place that you guys are putting together down there. I need to get back in there sometime. It's the list of places that I need to revisit or visit is kind of insane and kind of really, really crazy. But it is on a list, an actual list. Thank you guys. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Everybody enjoy beer event season because it is the best time of year. And I do mean that. There we go. We have to make sure we hit the right buttons. If you guys like this show or like any of the stuff that I do, including the website, and you want to support, you can always go to thegnarlygnome.com/support and support that way. Or after the new year, you can go to the new and improved online store, which is coming, and you can buy some cool swag that is upcoming there, and there will be actual like rotating drops of new swag next year. I promise. Actually, I could have showed you guys some of the new stuff, but I moved it. It was sitting right here, and I put it over there. But there's some fun stuff that I've been playing around with that. So stay tuned. Cool stuff coming. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week or maybe sooner if we run into each other out and about in the world. Cheers, everybody. Gonna go watch some football. This figgy pudding tastes like the best Kool-Aid that I've ever had in my life. It's like Kool-Aid if, I don't know, Urban Artifacts made it, I guess.